The idea here is this, that I will explain a little bit of theory and then we can do together something kind of basic and simple. But this is a very interesting topic because it actually you can go and explain it in many different ways. But one way to understand it first, to kind of get everybody on the line and get started, is that in order for you to become a good at improvising in salsa, you need few things. If you want to be also good improvising to music and become more musical, it's like what I explained in the musicality class. You need to have understanding of the music, which we will go today more in the salsa musicality class after the advanced and rising stars, so stay around for that. We're going to go through all the instruments, which will help you for sure. Then number two is you need to have a large vocabulary of movements. It's like in language. If you want to use it well, you need to have a large vocabulary. So what does it mean in dancing? It means that you need to have a large vocabulary of moves which to improvise from. You know, if you try to speak a new language, it's not that easy. What do you need? You need practice and you need to learn new words. The same is in salsa. The new words are only new moves, right? The more moves you have, the more footwork patterns you know, the more concepts you understand, and the most important thing, most concepts and footwork you are able to actually implement on the dance floor, the better. So in the beginning, the improvisation part is not going to necessarily be so poetic, right? You're not going to be William Shakespeare on the dance floor because your movement vocabulary is limited, right? Your control of the command of the dance language is limited, right? So in order to become William Shakespeare of the dance floor, you just need to practice, practice, practice. So that's number one. So there's really, in short, we could almost skip the class here because there is no shortcut, unfortunately, to becoming good at improvising. But it does help if you learn new moves, that's number one. Then if you want to become also more musical, then you also need to have a deeper and deeper and deeper understanding of the music, and that also is an endless path to how much you can understand the music, right? Some people that are musician friends of mine, I talk to them, and this is one of, for example, who plays in Julio's band is Eero Koivisto, who is said to be the Latin jazz pioneer of Finland. So when you talk to him, for example, and he hears some horn or a saxophone in the band, of course he can hear how well did the player actually play his part. Not only that, okay, I was able to recognize the saxophone over there, you know? So there's an unlimited kind of journey to all these directions, which I think is the beautiful, cool part of this dance journey. So now that we cover that basis, it's then also, I would add to this another pillar, which is your mindset. And your mindset is very important because oftentimes, especially in Finland, we have learned to study in a very structured way, right? Which is super good. And we are actually in Finland, in my view, very good at in many fields which we need to have copied, yeah? So we're good at doing what everybody else has done already. But when you go to improvisation, you have to actually use the other side of the brain, which is more kind of creative. So what I'm saying is that when you are in a social dance floor, when you are dancing, when you're on a dance floor and you are dancing, you need to also be courageous and let loose in a way. Because only in that kind of way do you strengthen your own ability and your own kind of neural network in the brain to actually strengthen this idea of you feeling comfortable improvising. Because I would also say that many of you, it's also a big mental block to try to improvise. So it's not even that you don't even know some moves. You already know some moves. You know Suzy Q, you know cross-body lead, you know the right turn, left turn, three-quarter turn, you know hook step, you know, and all the variations of those. So how to then improvise, it becomes also a mental block easily, yeah, that you have to overcome in order to improvise. So what does that mean? It means that there's a time and place when you just need to be courageous and try it and try to feel good with the feelings of kind of uncomfortableness that you might face. Yeah? So you learn to become better at feeling uncomfortable in the situation only by practice and putting you out there and accepting that in improvisation nothing is really perfect. I was just talking to Aurora, who's right behind the camera, and this lesson also, oftentimes I don't have a complete set of structure of what I'm going to say, because partly I feel kind of comfortable improvising, yeah, and just trusting that whatever intent behind this is going to come out, and hopefully it'll come for the best for all of us that you need to hear and what you need, the message you need to get in order to become better at this. And this is, I think, a very important aspect to this improvisation, especially when you go out in the social clubs, when you go to the festivals, where you're at home. Just try to feel more and more comfortable with accepting that you're not going to be perfect, you're not going to be even knowing what you're going to do next, and just learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable moment is one of the big mental keys. Also, you can apply that to anything in life, you know. So the only thing you can get better at is just becoming better at handling these kind of uncomfortable situations. And you can start it from improvising salsa, yeah, and you can apply it in many different areas in your life. So that's a very key point. Now, once you understand that, we understand now the big picture, then of course, how do we actually do it? Let's go into it. So for example, we already know, we'll do this on 1. So let's say we do salsa on basic, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, right? First, in HSA, we also teach different concepts, so you just kind of get familiar with different kind of concepts. So that is like increasing your vocabulary in language. Then you need to learn how to put it together in different ways to form different sentences, right? So Suzy Q, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, right? Once you know this concept, you can do half. 1, 2, 3. We already gone through this. Then you do double front, cross, 6, 7, right? Afro, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, right? So now you're already applying the vocabulary in a different way to create something unique, right? So that's it. There is really no shortcut into magic bullet that once you get some kind of Mikko's improvisation lesson, now you'll become amazing improvisers in the salsa.
I was actually expecting.
I actually have a tea, coffee, and I'm sitting down. I was actually expecting that. You are disappointing me.
You watch this boom and I transfer. Until we go into this kind of Elon Musk artificial intelligence scenario where we are in the neural network all together, 5G blowing us into the whole world, and then we have a microchips that's connected to that, and we're connected to artificial intelligence, then through that maybe we're able to kind of like let control of ourselves completely, and then we'll become good salsa improvisers by push of a button. But until then,
we'll actually be at any point creative.
Yeah, that may be then also whether that's creativity or not is another question. Yeah, but okay. But until then, let's make sure that we actually keep the salsa alive, and we'll go through another scenario rather. Yeah. So look. Yeah, I know. Yeah. We go 6, 7. Suzy, 1 and 2 and 3. So 5 and 6 and 7. So now we have half a Suzy Q, 2, 3, double front, 5, 6, 7, rumba, 1, a 3, a 5, a 7. Then hook step, 1 and 2, 3, toe heel, 4, 5, 6, 7, basic 1, right? So I just came up with that routine, yeah? But you can also, once you know the concepts, the idea is that you need to start to try to put your own routines together. That's the only way you're going to ultimately strengthen your own kind of pathways of seeing how things can be connected in a different way, in a way that you don't pre-plan it completely. Of course, in the beginning, it's good to learn all the different footwork patterns that we are doing, all the different, so you're downloading information into your brain in a way that it's actually helping you increase your kind of movement vocabulary. And then once you have it inside there, then you can try to do it in a different ways. But you have to do it in order for it to kind of go into your muscle memory. So let's try one more time. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 5, Susie, Q, and 1, 2, double front, 5, 6, 7, rumba, and 3, 5, and 7, hook step, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, basic, 1, 2, try again, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, double front, 5, 6, rumba, 1 and 3, 5, hook step, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, basic, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So now at home I would say put some music and try it, and then try to do other patterns also. Yeah, mix it up on your own way. Yes, because only in that way you're gonna end up ultimately becoming a better at improvising. Yes, let's try one more time. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3, 5, 6, Susie Q. 1, 2, 3, double front cross, rumba, 1 and 3, 5 and 7, 1 and 2, 3, hook step, toe heel, 4, 5, 6, 7, basic, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, one here, 1, 2, 3, Susie Q, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, double front, 6, 7, rumba, 1 and 3, and 5, hook step, 1 and 2, 3, toe heel, 6, 7, and 1, 2, and 3, 5, 6, 7. Do you have, Mila, the song My HSA Groove on your? We can try with that, yeah? Let's try one more time. Here we go. 1, 2, and 3, 5, Susie Q. 1, 2, 3, double front, 6, 7, 1 and 3, 5, hook step, 1 and 2, 4, 6, 7, and 1, 2. Slow. Let's try it together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go! 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. 1, go! 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Rumba up. 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Home here. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, go. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Rumba. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. One more time. Go. 1, 2, 3, 6. Rumba. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 6, 7. Now, you should try something different. You should try different. Rumba, Susie Q, double front, rumba, 1, hook step, toe heel, other way, 5, 6, 7. You try different. Side, back, Susie Q, hook step, toe heel. Now, when you are doing your practices, try different concepts. Try putting it together in different ways. Try putting it in different order. Add your little own styling. Now, when you are practicing this and you are putting together your own routines and you are combining different concepts in different ways, couple of rule of thumbs that are good, yeah, that will help you. In the beginning, I highly recommend that you emphasize the first beat of the music. Why? Because that will kind of help you to have some kind of anchor, yeah? Some kind of anchor that will help you get back to your basic step. So for example, you're improvising 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, when you realize and you keep the timing in your mind, and you keep, especially, it's easier first to keep kind of awareness on where the first beat is, and try to go back into it, yeah? So that you have some kind of small structure if your improvisation gets kind of a little bit out of hand, you could say. Which is okay when you are just kind of trying different creative kind of movements and concepts and footwork patterns, right? So having the awareness of the first beat and try to catch it after some kind of improvisation, it's very good because it just keeps you a little bit more structured. Because ultimately, the best improvisers are also not those who are randomly just doing whatever comes to their mind, but just like in music, who is a good improvisator, good at improvising in music is someone who really understands the rules and the structure, for example, with their piano, and then they break the rules after they have mastered it. So the same with this salsa improvisation is that you first have to try to master all the rules, and then you can start slow by slow breaking them, yeah? So now, another idea that kind of dovetails this idea is that when you are trying to improvise, let me see, I kind of lost my train of thought. Let me think. You're trying to, oh wait, I had an interesting idea. Okay, I forgot, it'll come back to me. So first is important to, right, now I got it. So first it's important to have the awareness of the first beat, right? Then, little by little, as you gain more mastery of the timing, there's different levels of understanding the timing. One is that you are able to kind of find the one, and in the beginning, when you're dancing, oftentimes you use, and you are kind of what we would call slave to the music. You kind of use the music in a way that helps you stay in the beat, right? So you have the 1, 2, 3, okay, 5. If I'm keeping my steps like here, I'm somehow managing to go along with the music, and even then sometimes I lose it, right? So that's the beginning phases, beginning stages of developing as a dancer and being able to keep the timing, right? But there's a different levels of awareness of the timing. So first is this, that you are just aware, 1, 2, 3, 5. You have to really think about where the timing goes, right? If you're not thinking about it, you lose it, right? So when you are super focused, conscious, you find it, but when you are not thinking about it, you lose it, yeah? That's normal progression of everybody usually, right? It's the same when you are learning language. You really have to focus of all the meanings of the word, and you have to really focus a lot your brain power to be able to form sentences. Now, the next step from that is that you know the steps, right? And let's say you kind of don't have to think anymore, right? You are able to keep the timing without thinking, right? This is a very good next level, right? You're kind of able to stay on the timing and you're not thinking. You can think of something else, but your timing is still kept. But you're not necessarily always aware what count you are exactly, for example, right? So this is maybe most of you right now when you're trying to improvise. That's why I say that you are maybe, if you do basic concepts, you are able to keep the timing, but keep that first beat on your mind so that at least you can use it as a way of having a little bit of structure in the improvisation process. Now, the next step from that is that you are actually all the time subconsciously conscious of where the timing and the beats go, right? You can dance, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, and you can do whatever with your body, and you don't really even have to think, but you are able to be on the timing, right? So this level helps, especially when you want to become a much more musical and you want to really become much more creative in the music. Let's try to play the same, and I will explain kind of a little bit of these differences, yeah? If I can give a visual kind of expression to them, yeah? Let's try. So first, when you start, you try to find the rhythm. You find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you try to put the steps. 1, 2. Now you use the music as a way of keeping your timing. If you're not thinking, you might kind of lose it. But you try to 1, 2, I'm counting. 5, 6, 7. Yes, I'm doing good. Then you do something difficult and you lost it. So you have to do it over and over so you feel comfortable. The next step is that you don't have to think, yeah? You can do whatever, but you are able to at the same time speak, do whatever, and you keep the time, right? But you may not know which count is where, right? So the next level, in this level, you can usually do all of the different things well, and the counting already starts to help you learn faster. You can check. Okay, I was a little late there, yeah? I correct myself, right? Wait, 5, 6, so I have to correct myself, right? So the next level, you can do whatever you want, but you know where the timing goes, right? Ta 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 ta. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2. So you can do different things without really thinking so much of the timing, but you still know where the timing goes. And in this level, you can really try to play with the timing and begin to improvise even more. Yeah, let's take it. And so on the second level, oftentimes, the more you strengthen the timing, you will start to notice that your learning curve becomes much faster because the strength of your sense of timing actually helps you to make sure that you keep yourself accountable to be on the correct timing. Now, this will of course already help you in improvisation because you are able to easily try different things and you are aware whether you are on time or not. But the next level is that you are able to then, at some point, you have the timing so well that you are running it in your mind and you know exactly where the timing goes and you are able to break free from it freely, yet the timing and the structure of the timing is still running in your background so that you can freely stay away from it, play from it, and you don't need it. You don't need your basic steps to keep you exactly on the timing, but instead you can break it freely and yet still know where it is. So you consciously can break the rules and become to improvise even more. Emphasize certain things in the music, yet in the background the timing goes. Just like, let's say, when somebody in the salsa band starts to improvise, and let's say back in the day when they're playing in a club, somebody can just improvise and there's no predetermined time how long the person is going to improvise, but everybody still is able to listen and be in sync, keep the timing. Even the person who's improvising, he still or she knows where the timing goes, and they can come back to the timing whenever they want to. Yeah? So that's also, so these kind of things are also very, very important the more you begin to want to improvise, and ultimately in a more advanced level when you start to ultimately at some point want to break even some rules. So let's say I'm doing Suzy Q. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I can do this Suzy Q concept, but do I always have to do it on 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7? No. I can go 1 and 2, 3, 4, I hold, and then I go 5, 6, 7, right? 1 and 2, 3, 4, and I can play with the timing. So even all of these concepts, you can break the normal rules, do it with a different count. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, right? So here I went 1 and 2, 3, 4, if I wanted to emphasize, and 5, 6, 7, right? For example, so all the concept you know already, you can also, when you feel comfortable with the timing and the concept, you can improvise even the concept itself in a way that's much more advanced, depending on what's happening in the music, how you want to emphasize certain things, and play with, for example, the differences between fast movement and pauses, etc., to make a more dynamic effect, etc., etc. So all of this goes to help you to kind of expand your awareness a little bit, and then to see ultimately what all dance can be, and to hopefully inspire you to kind of become better at improvising, yeah? And of course, then the next level is that you kind of improvisation in a way for some becomes kind of the norm, right? They know the structure, they know the timing, they know the movements, but they like to improvise and create more as a norm, right? That they try to play with certain things in a way that it becomes a habit to improvise and create. Not from a point of view of just doing whatever you want, just like a musician wouldn't ask somebody to come play in a band who doesn't know how to play. But once you know everything, and then on top of that, you start to improvise and use all the skills you have to create something beautiful. It's the same in dance, in a way that you know the timing, you have a mastery of it, you know the moves, and now you can start to break, yeah? All the rules, right? You can break the basic step. You don't have to go 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. You go 1 and 2, 3, and 5, 6, and 7. 1, 2. You can break the counts. You can break the styling of it. You have the basic movements. You can emphasize certain movements in the basic to play with the basic concept and put some kind of your own expression on top. But again, that comes to then to the two things. One, the timing and musicality, one side of the kind of pathway to improve yourself endlessly. And then the other side is the body awareness, the vocabulary of your movements, and how much can you develop different expressions. So, of course, in the basic step, you want to first try to master the basic. Then after that, you can improvise through some kind of additional movement in the basic step to add on your own expression. Let's say I do basic. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Easy way, right? You do a little shoulder. 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Let's say I do basic. 1, 2, 3. Shoulder. 6, 7. I kick on a 7, right? 5, 6, and 7. I kick. I do a little twist. 1, 2, rande, 3, 4, 5. Body roll, 7, 8. Yeah? So you can have also unlimited freedom ultimately, even in the basic step, to add on to the basic things or even break the basic ideas. Yeah? But first you want to know the rules, master the rules, and only after that start breaking them. Because yeah, to do it in other order is not the best idea either, right? And you always have to be conscious. And there's always a balance, right? There's always a balance. I recommend both ways of learning. Trying things, creating, it's good. You need to try it. You need to express yourself. You need to try out. And then at the same time keep also learning the structures, learning the patterns. And this is what also even in this online program we created. You have to learn the different material, the footwork, the body movement, the different levels of movement, and so on. And then the more you learn that side, the more you can also have tools to then ultimately express yourself and improvise. Let me know if there's any questions. This was a more of a theory-based class because there is really no kind of one thing I can do in an hour to kind of illustrate you or to help you become better, because it